Hi everyone and welcome to another video. I am the Hermit Tarot if this is the first time that you're seeing me, and this is my YouTube channel. A massive welcome back to those who are returning. I'm so excited to have you all here. I'm filming your intro before I've done your reading, so I have this refreshed vibe ready to tackle the topic ahead. I'm very keen to do this topic. It was suggested recently by one of our community members that I do more personality readings. It's good for me to know what you want to see. If majority of the community seems to like it, I can do it more often. With that being said, the topic for today's video is, do you resemble your star sign? I'm not an astrologist, I'm a tarot reader, and this is going to be a tarot reading. I have a breakdown in the description box of what we'll be covering, but I do intend to put something on the screen now. Keep in mind when it comes to astrology, your sun sign is only one aspect of your natal chart. If you're an astrology enthusiast or if you find this topic interesting, I highly recommend you look into your own natal chart. Have a look at all the unique and personalized placements that make you you according to the stars. Now there is going to be an extended reading. I'll put more information up on the screen now of what that extended reading will look like. So if that sounds interesting, join me in the pick a group portion to figure out which group has the most honest messages for you. Okay, so as you can see, we have 4 groups in front of us. I have pre-shuffled oracle cards and some tarot cards, but I actually want you to focus on the crystals instead. Try not to think too much about the cards behind the crystals. I want you to know I use the same decks for each group. The number of cards in each deck may vary for each group, but you all got shuffled the same decks of cards. When it comes to the crystals, that's where you can see differences. Group 1, you have the Smoky Quartz crystal, and I just found out recently that sometimes this type of crystal, in terms of its appearance, can be called natural agate in other parts of the world. However, here in Australia, we have an abundance of quartz, especially near the top end where I am. And I can confirm this is definitely a smoky quartz from my local area. If you feel drawn towards this quartz or what you've learned about my brief summation, then you'll be a part of group 1's energy. If you don't know if you feel drawn towards this smoky quartz, you can pause the video or let me introduce the other groups to you as well to see if you have more of a pull towards those groups. Group 2, I did some research for you. Your crystal is a green Aventurine, and it took me a little while to confirm this. I had to look into a variety of different crystals and their properties, and I found out that green Aventurine has a shimmery effect because it usually contains mica or silica, which creates this shimmer when you move the crystal. Now, I don't know if you can see it from up there, but to the naked eye, it is very visible. And if you feel drawn towards this crystal or my little backstory, you'll be a part of group 2's reading. Give yourself plenty of time. Pause the video if you need to. Group 3 has the yellow calcite crystal that I have misnamed in the past. It is definitely a yellow calcite. And honestly, I don't want to say too much about this crystal. The crystal itself comes with quite a strong energy. So I'd encourage you to tune in. If you feel drawn or if you feel a pull towards this crystal, you'll be a part of group 3's reading. And then our last group is group number 4. And again, I had to do some research. Group 4, this is a Chrysocolla crystal. I had to double check on the crystal's properties, where it is found, and I can confirm it is highly common in Australia, as it's usually a byproduct of copper and the oxidization process that copper goes through. These crystals are found all over my state of Queensland in Australia, and they're often found with other crystals like malachite. So if you feel drawn towards the Chrysocolla crystal, you'll be a part of group 4's reading. Those are the 4 groups, sweet souls. Like I said, give yourself plenty of time. There is no rush. If you need more help to intuitively select a group, join me in the meditation clip that will play right after this. But when you know which of these 4 groups you're feeling most drawn to, click on your timestamps in the description box or the pinned comment and join me in your reading. To open your meditation, I'm going to ask you to take in 3 deep, mindful breaths. I want you to breathe in for 3 seconds and breathe out for 3 seconds. I will be guiding you through this. Make sure you're comfortable. Focus on the sound of my voice. And let's begin. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Last breath. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. From this relaxed place, observe the groups in your mind. It can help if your eyes are closed. Is there a specific color you feel most drawn to right now? Perhaps it was a phrase I spoke about in the intro. Allow your relaxed mind to guide you to a group you are being most drawn to. Remember, your intuition is not a loud voice, but it is a strong voice, and it knows which of these groups contains the most honest messages for you. Allow it to guide you through symbols, colors, objects, and phrases that will connect you with the group that holds the most clear, honest messages for you. If you need more time, pause the video or repeat this meditation. Hi Group 1, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize the Smoky Quartz crystal, then you're in the right place. Group 1, this crystal has a very rich history in my personal experience. I think if you're somebody who is seeking protection, you'd be very familiar with the Smoky Quartz crystal. It's usually quite a common crystal. It depends on what part of the world you're in, but very common here in Australia. And because it's so common, it's a little bit cheaper. So it's a good crystal to go to. Is it the best for protection? Not necessarily. I think there are other crystals out there that can have a more potent vibration. The blacker crystals, for example, like hematite and even obsidian. What else am I missing? There's another one that's like a T word. I can't think of it now. Anyway, there's a lot out there, but the Smoky Quartz is one that definitely represents protection. I'm not just rambling for nothing. We're going to get into your reading, but I do think those themes have a little bit of like a hint to offer to the rest of your reading, Group 1. As I said in the intro, we are asking Spirit, do you resemble your sun sign? As you can see, I've got a lot of notes here. We're asking a lot of information in your reading, and I'm actually pretty excited to do this. So hopefully I can give you messages that help you understand yourself better, and also that help you understand how other people see you. So let's get straight into it. Let me figure out what your sun sign is. We got a hint with the Smoky Quartz, and that's another variation of Smoky Quartz up there in its raw state. What is Group 1's sun sign, please, Spirit? I forgot to write down that I used this. Let's start with the Arcana of Astrology deck. And I'll write that down so I don't forget for the other groups. What is group 1's sun sign? We have the sun coming out. Okay. We have balance in the destiny cards. And in the tea leaf deck, we have rose. Romance is in the air. So really strong Leo vibes so far. I'm also seeing some Libra with balance. Balance always makes me think of the twins. Romance and balance could be Pisces. The sun and balance could be Gemini, seeking clarity through information. Is there anything else? Those are the main signs that I'm seeing, which I'm going to write down because I'm likely to forget that. So what have we said? We've said Leo. We've said Pisces. We've said Libra. Do we get anything else from that, Spirit? Leo, Pisces, Libra. I've already forgotten what I've said. Gemini, seeking clarity. Those are 4 pretty clear signs. But let me describe the characteristics of your sun sign to help see if you've picked the right group. Based on these cards, the key characteristics that I'm seeing is that you're a sign that needs information. You're a sign that feels secure and a lot more grounded when you know how somebody is feeling or what is happening around you. You're a sign that gets curious and you have this mutable interaction with the world around you that seems to want to know things. I'm hearing the term curiosity killed the cat, and we're once again getting a reference to Leo with cats, lions, etc. But I feel like there's a part of you that needs to feel sure. Anytime that something is too up in the air, it does induce feelings of anxiousness. It's not like you need to know everything. I'm not getting much Virgo energy here. Or who else needs to know everything? I would say Virgo, maybe Aquarius, a stickler for details. But it does feel like you need to know enough to feel secure. Aside from this idea of curiosity and seeking clarity, with the Sun card reversed, you're also a sign that is likely to experience mood swings. And these mood swings have you going from optimistic to pessimistic. It's not super severe, but it's enough for people to know you as moody. It's enough for people to call your sun sign moody. And it's enough to impact your perception on things. It's enough for you to recognize, like, I'm having one of my moods type of thing. This sun sign is usually known as quite a dominant energy, in that the stereotypical way that people talk about this sign is that they are quite a strong characteristic. They usually stand out. They usually have a stronger presence, with the exception of Pisces, maybe. There is a feeling here with the sun of, you know, you're a sign that does, you stand out in a social setting, and you have a certain reputation as well as standing out. I do feel with balance and romance here, your softer qualities are that there is something here about you, your sun sign needing a certain amount of give and take. I see with the romance card being here that maybe your sign is stereotypically known as a lover or a romantic. But I think with the balance sign here, you're not a pushover. You know, you need a lover who's also able to give as much as they take. You're not just a, what's the word? A hopeless romantic. Is that right, Spirit? I would say yes. Based on your protection crystal, I feel like overall your sun sign is interpreted as one that is a bit guarded when it comes to personal matters, and you may be someone that is really good at standing up for other people, taking care of yourself. Like, that's the stereotypical characteristics of this sun sign is that they protect themselves, they look after themselves, and they may be very protective of the people that they love as well, which I think does fall in line with the Leo trope. Pisces can be very protective of selves, very sensitive, very moody. Libra, I would say, can get defensive. I don't know about protective, argumentative. And then Gemini, I would say, can be quite protective of self as well, but similar to Libra, in the way of trying to use communication as a barrier or a sheet of armor. Is there anything else you can tell us, Spirit, about what their sun sign may be? Do we need to pull tarot to confirm? Maybe just a little bit. Or do we just keep moving forward? We're going to keep moving forward. Sorry, I have to consult because I know I'm going to use more tarot, but we've got a few things to talk about, so we're not going to get tarot here. So that is what's coming through as the characteristics of your actual sun sign. But let's have a look at what you resemble now. We're going to have a look at our next set of cards, which starts with the Lucid Minds Tarot deck. You have the Moon card reversed. Wow. And from the Animal Oracle deck, I could probably move these down a little bit. You have the Octopus card. Wow. That's quite powerful. Lots of water. So you actually resemble someone who's not available. You resemble someone who can easily get distracted or who gets involved in so many different things that you're not always available. You're not always accessible. You come across as somebody who keeps to themselves, has introverted tendencies, but also draws people in because you have a level of mystery with these two cards. You're perceived as somebody who knows more, thinks more, and feels more than what you say. And even on first impressions, people see you as someone who has depths, layers. They think that you're almost preoccupied and dreamy. You come across as somebody who's always mulling things over or thinking things over. And they interpret it in an emotional way. It's seen as, this veil of mystery, mystique. People who know you well know that you do your best thinking alone and that you have night owl tendencies. You seem to be somebody who does a lot of thinking like in the dark or, again, alone. In fact, other people's energies can either be quite chaotic, distracting, or disarming for you. With Octopus reversed, you may have a bit of a reputation in love as being someone who juggles people or who seems to have the history of getting involved in people who weren't taking you seriously or you're not taking people seriously. But at your core, the people that know you well see characteristics in you of a person who has, again, a lot of depth. You have a lot of emotion, and I do see mood swings here. I see people thinking that, you do go through your moods. It might not happen in a day, but with the moon here, there is a cycle of you kind of purging energy, releasing energy. I think that people really value conversations with you, group one. You resemble somebody who can have very deep and meaningful conversations, very heartfelt conversations. You have a way of bringing back an emotional aspect. It may be hard for you to communicate when you're upset or when your feelings are really strong. It might be that your communication shuts down, you're not good at articulating how you feel, or you might just say something but it's not truly what you mean, it's just how you felt. It seems that your sun sign tries to bring a more balanced, almost grounding energy to these characteristics within you. And I believe that you're conscious of how strong your emotions can be, how sensitive you can get, and how empathetic, how much you can feel. There is also this feeling here of, for some of you, you've developed the ability to shut down as a form of protection. Maybe it was through experience. You became very good at trying to shut down your feelings and shut out other people's feelings, protecting yourself from strong feelings, strong emotions, strong influences. I would say that your capacity is quite limited. I think with all of this emotional energy, it's hard for you to know whether you can commit to other people's needs or requests of you. For that reason, you don't feel like you do well under pressure, especially over time. You feel like intense situations are really taxing on you. And if you're ever in an environment, especially in like a workplace or a family situation where there's a lot happening, there's big personalities or just a lot of intense, an intense workload, you're prone to burnout, and you're also prone to needing lengthy periods of time to recharge. You're somebody that needs mental health days in order to feel ready to take on those big, draining, emotionally challenging tasks. I would say, despite you being perceived as a deep person and having characteristics of emotional depth, you don't do well with processing other people's emotions. There is a part of you that adds layers of emotion so that you can choose, how much you're going to feel in that situation or how deep you're going to take it. With the moon card here, I think there are even aspects of your own experiences, including traumatic periods or episodes or events, where you just had to go, I'm not going to process that because it's just a bit too much right now. I'm going to shelf it, add it to the box, and keep moving forward. So that is what you resemble with the oracle cards. That is what other people notice. That is the characteristics that you're aware of. And that is how you're perceived by strangers and loved ones in your life. So let's have a look at how all of this information in this reading, how is it helpful for your growth? We're going to identify challenges and opportunities next with the Celestial Bodies Oracle card. We have square. Interesting. The square is an aspect pattern in astrology, and it usually highlights conflicts, tensions, or challenges. With this card being reversed, there are moments when people's perception of you conflicts with the nature of you. But I can see with this card being reversed that the whole point of that conflict is to challenge the growth that your sun sign offers you. Now, as I said in the beginning, there are many different aspects of your natal chart. In astrology, there are so many different signs, astrological signs, placements, houses, patterns that can help discuss your personality as seen by the stars at the time that you were born. So I'm really just covering rudimentary astrology information through my personal bias. I'm more of a tarot reader, and this is where we're going to pull out tarot for you as well. But let's have a look at this card, this oracle card. I can see that the differences between your sun sign and what your personality resembles offers challenges in the way that expectations don't often align. Because of your sun sign, you are likely to be somebody that other people want to rely on more. You're likely to attract people who think one way of you, and you're likely to also agree to do things with good intentions. However, your nature means that there is an unreliability. If the mood isn't right, if your emotional capacity is low, and if you've had a big day in an emotionally challenging situation, you're actually very flaky and unreliable. And because of that, one of the main challenges is other people's expectations of you, and allowing people to, or trying to give people the time to really see you for who you are. People who don't have the patience to understand you could be very quick to judge you. People who don't have the time to wait on your emotionally recharging moments could get very frustrated by the fact that you can't help them. And this is especially frustrating for personalities who demand more balance, right? You could have every intention of giving as good as you get, but if your mental health is suffering, if your emotional capacity is depleted, if you've had a big emotionally challenging day, you physically cannot do more than sleep. And I think sleep is very important for someone like you, Group 1. Again, I think time alone is very important for someone like you. So there is one of the main challenges. People perceive your sun sign. People learn to understand your nature. And those who are not patient enough often have problems with you, often see flaws in you, and often project unrealistic expectations of you, creating conflict that could have been avoided if they'd been more patient with understanding you. This is also frustrating for you because, again, you have every intention, but you can't control this part of you. You can't control your mood. You can't control your feelings, right? Feelings just happen. Moods change. The opportunity in this is that with the square card reversed, you're also very good at avoiding too much. You become quite adept at understanding your capacity in quite a mature, emotionally responsible way. You're very good at avoiding tension, conflict, and challenges, which can be perceived as flaky, but it's also perceived as you stopped that growing problem before it got worse, right? You identified a need to remove yourself from that challenging situation, and you limited the amount of conflict that could have happened. I think that you're someone who learns to avoid confrontation by simply walking away and choosing your own peace. I think that you're not that great at communicating your feelings, but if you have the chance to reflect and to categorize your feelings, or at least actualize them so that they're not so strong, it's very disarming hearing you talk about how you feel. When you do open up, when you do communicate, it's very disarming. It throws people off, it makes people a little uncomfortable, and it reduces conflict because I think people expect someone like you to square up, to create problems and create noise. Now, how is this helpful for your growth? Let's have a look with tarot. And I'm using the Spirit Speaks Tarot deck for this. how is this helpful, Spirit, for Group 1's growth? How is this difference between what they resemble and what they are? Ace of Wands is coming out. The 9 of Pentacles. And we have the 3 of Swords. So, from the Spirit Speaks Tarot deck, we're being shown someone who isn't afraid to start new, to start fresh. You may be somebody who's really good at creating ideas. With the Ace of Wands, you come across as a creative energy. You think differently because of your sun sign's impact and your nature, which is likely your moon sign. There's this difference here between how you see a situation. Where others see problems, you're really good at seeing an opportunity. Not necessarily a solution, but an opportunity. Now, the Ace of Wands is also referencing passion, purpose. You could be somebody that becomes really good at channeling your energy. And I think that with the Ace of Wands here, this isn't a promise for success, but it's an opportunity to grow. You're someone who, with the emotional intensity of your nature, well, let's not say intensity, but with the emotional depths of your nature, combined with the clarity, curiosity, desire for balance, and sensitive, especially when it comes to relationships, you're quite conscious of who you choose to invest in. I would say that you come into people's lives as a little bit of a muse, Group 1, with the Ace of Wands. And that's not always helpful for you, but it teaches you a lot about yourself over time. It's going to help you grow. The little flings, the little brief friendships, interactions with colleagues, because you have quite a big impact on other people. Again, your sun sign is not meant to be muted. You stand out. The brief interactions are the most important to your growth. You may be able to see the good in everybody, even if just for a few seconds. A quick, light-hearted exchange of inspiration and energy is what you're really good at. And then you disconnect before things get too deep. Or you learn how to disconnect, especially if you're quite empathetic or feminine in nature. But if you're masculine, it's really easy for you to disconnect. It's harder for you to engage, because disconnecting means being able to continue moving forward and not staying still for too long. If you're empathetic and feminine in nature, there's an aspect of you that wants to nurture, that wants to connect. And so your lesson is to find out how to disconnect quickly so that you can continue to be available for the next best experience, the next best opportunity. That's what this Ace of Wands represents. And remember, feminine energy is not a label of gender identity. We're talking about energy. Feminine energy, like I mentioned, is nurturing, intuitive, and thrives through connections and intimacy. Masculine energy tends to be more driven. It has more of a movement to it. It aims to achieve. And it's usually quite dynamic. It wants to move. It's very Mars sort of centered. So that's what I mean when I talk about masculine and feminine energies. Having a look at the 9 of Pentacles, it feels like you're supposed to be somebody who can use your emotional sensitivities to become very self-secure. This reading is supposed to help you identify ways to become more independent, more stable, and to be able to use what you know about yourself to identify opportunities to gain financial independence. If you know these things about your personality, your characteristics, you should be able to identify employment opportunities, job roles, specific career paths that can really get you into this Nine of Pentacles energy, which is all about independence, financial freedom, self-success, self-sufficiency. And remember, your sun sign is usually who you become over time. By the time you retire, people will see you as this. You will know yourself as this. But until you feel seasoned, experienced, and wise, and unless you have the same sign in different placements, you're actually more connected to these characteristics of the octopus and the moon. And these characteristics have limited emotional capacity, are always looking for ways to work smarter, not harder, so that you're not burning out, and don't want to take on too much of other people's problems for your own mental health. You can't empathize too deeply, it's too draining. So for that reason, if you're in those types of roles where you're expected to empathize or to really listen to other people's problems and take on what they've been battling, you're going to burn out. You need a way of separating that from your job, from your duties. You need to be able to turn up and clock out. You can't afford to take work home. That's also very draining for you. You need to have a sense of completion to your work. It can't just feel like it bleeds into year after year after year. Otherwise, you get to a point where you're like, what's the point of this? I'm not doing anything different. It's very mundane. It's very exhausting. So you're better suited towards freelance, self-employed roles, and positions that give you autonomy and the chance to work independently. We will talk more about job compatibility in your extended reading if you're interested in that, as well as spending habits and lifestyle habits. With the Three of Swords, this is talking about relationships, but it's bigger than that. It's about the relationship with self, but it does impact other people. Unless somebody is able to truly see eye to eye with you when it comes to your emotional needs, you are someone who isn't afraid or who learns how to be quite clear about what you need. The Three of Swords in this case can also be seen as stubborn at times. Again, if you're more masculine, you're probably perceived as more stubborn. It's hard for people to bend your mind, especially if you're considering your capacity. You're going to be very black and white about what you can and can't do. If you're feminine in nature, this is a challenge that you're learning, is how to have these direct, clear conversations about differences so that you're addressing your needs, considering your future, and not worrying about how that's going to affect the other person. Because ultimately, that's for them to figure out. This is incredibly helpful for your growth, as that is how you will grow. You will have to confront these conversations about your future head on. You will have to discuss these big feelings directly, because when you don't is when you actually hurt other people. When you leave people up in the air after telling them that you could, that's when they start to wonder, well, what happened there? Why is group one so flaky? Why is group one distancing themselves from me? Why is group one so hard to reach? Why is group one being so mysterious? I thought we had something. I thought we were going somewhere with this, and now they want something completely different. And that's where I think sometimes people see you as moody or, just flaky, inconsistent. But the growth aspect for you is to develop direct, clear communication about your needs and about what you want for your future, so that you're not stringing people along, but so that you're not pretending to want something that you don't want. Hopefully that makes sense, especially if you're more dreamy in nature. So that's what I'm seeing for you, group one. This has been your star sign reading. I hope it's been helpful for you, insightful, maybe affirmative. I'm going to take your reading into the extended now. I have mentioned the extended before. Here's what we're covering. We're following on from the Do You Resemble Your Star Sign reading by having a look at what and who you're most compatible with. We're going to try to cover topics like your job, friendships, family, pets, romance, lifestyle, and spending habits. If anything pops up, we'll talk about it as well, but that's where I'm starting from. If that sounds interesting, and especially if the first part of your reading has resonated, the link to extended readings is in the description box and the pinned comment. Make sure when you navigate to that website page, you're clicking on the right group. You're fairly easy, sweet souls, you're group one of the reading, so you should pop up straight away if you're watching this within the week that I posted it. Otherwise, just swipe across until you recognize the thumbnail and the title. Make sure you've got the right group, the right reading before you check out. Thank you so much for joining me, Group 1, on YouTube. I appreciate all of your support right here on this platform. If this is where we're parting ways, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. Goodbye for now. Hi Group 2 and welcome to your reading. Oh, I just got so excited to see you. You guys may have been following me for some time, or maybe I know you. That usually happens when I get that feeling. So welcome, sweet souls. If you're new here, I hope we can get off on the right foot in today's reading. If you recognize this green Aventurine, you're in the right place. We're going to pop Group 1's crystal to the side and we're going to focus on your energy. Before I get into personal or general readings, I like to set the intentions with you, the person that I'm reading for. In this case, you're my viewer. I highly recommend you set your intentions with Source, with Spirit, with God, whatever label you feel comfortable using. Are there specific questions you have in mind? Is there specific clarity you're seeking? Or are there certain topics you'd like to see me covered in this reading? Keep that in mind as you set your intention, and I'm going to set my intention as your reader. Spirit, please tune me into Group 2's energy. Please help me offer Group 2 the most clear, honest messages about their reading and what they need to hear. Thank you, Spirit. All right, we're asking Spirit what, well, not really what, but do you resemble your star sign? Today's reading has a lot of information to cover. We're going to be looking at what your sun sign could be with cards that I've already shuffled. Then we're going to have a look at what you resemble in terms of characteristics that you're aware of within yourself, characteristics noticed by others as well. And we're going to close your reading by having a look at how this information is helpful for your growth. What are the challenges and opportunities you're likely to experience because of this? Your extended reading will be on my website as an option if you wish to gain further clarity, support this channel, or just entertain yourself further. The extended reading covers who and what you are most compatible with, looking at areas of your life including your job/career, friendships, family, animals, pets, romance, lifestyle, and spending habits. Lots of different information there. So let's get into it. We're going to start with your sun sign. Spirit, what is group 2's sun sign? We have Jupiter. We have adventure. And we have wheel. Stop. Plus you got the Aventurine. Do you know what the main characteristic of Aventurine is in most sources? Luck. Jupiter is very strong in your energy. You guys have a strong Sagittarius or Pisces energy. So if you're here, your sun sign is likely Pisces or Sagittarius. However, there are other signs that have these attributes. The wheel card does make me think of the Wheel of Fortune, first and foremost. However, the words on this card are indecisiveness, allowing your life to ramble aimlessly. And to be fair, this is a quality that a lot of mutable signs possess. However, the other sign that lets things go on and on and on and on until it's well and truly broken are the fixed signs. They're not usually one to instigate change. They usually get quite comfortable doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm also picking up on Taurus, Scorpio. I wouldn't say Leo. We had more Leo energy in another group. I'm going to stick with Sagittarius, Pisces, Taurus, and Scorpio. The adventure aspect of this element in your reading makes me think that your sun sign is known for being quite maybe adventurous or passionate or thrill-seeking, experience-seeking. It also just makes me think that there's a stereotype of your sign being able to like pivot and change direction. So that does make me think back to Sagittarius more than anything, really. Is there any other signs that need to be included in this reading, Spirit? Spirit wants me to say the disclaimer because I forgot to say this at the beginning. I said this for group 1. But the quick disclaimer is that I am a tarot reader. I think I covered this in the intro from memory, but this is a tarot reading. Astrology and being a good astrologer can take decades of experience. There is so many information, nuances and aspects to an astrology reading. And if you weren't aware, you actually have so many different signs. So many different signs. Your sun sign is usually the sign that most people know about. It's your birthday sign, and it's usually the sign you read for on your horoscope. It's assigned to you at birth based on the day you were born. Your rising sign is assigned based on the hour and minute you were born, and your moon sign is usually assigned based on the week or the month that you were born. So we're focusing on your sun sign, your birthday sign. And I'm talking about tropical astrology, just in case you are an astro enthusiast. I don't discount or discredit Vedic astrology. I'm just not familiar with it. I do believe that all astrology serves its function and purpose. However, I'm more familiar with tropical based on my own experience and culture, I guess, living in the Western world. So with that little disclaimer out of the way, the 4 signs that are coming up for you are Sagittarius, Pisces, Taurus, and Scorpio predominantly. Let's have a look now at your characteristics. So this is how you're perceived by others, as well as how you perceive yourself. These are the qualities, the natures that you resemble. Starting with the Lucid Minds Tarot deck, we have the Five of Wands. With the Animal Oracle deck, we have Peacock in the reverse position. Interesting. So I can see straight away with the Five of Wands that you're often perceived as somebody that is a changeable energy. You're somebody that can have some pretty strong opinions, and that makes me think of Aquarius. It makes me think that you have an outspoken side to you, or that you're someone who can get very heated and very passionate. Now, there's a scale to the Five of Wands when we talk about a personality. There's the argumentative side, in which you can come across as a very dominant, challenging, argumentative sort of person. And then there's the, what's the word I was looking for? With the Five of Wands, there's just the passionate side, which means you're not perceived as argumentative, but you are perceived as somebody who forms strong opinions and likes to stand by them. The thing is, the Five of Wands isn't about being stubborn. It's about being outspoken. It's about having a wave of energy flow through you so that you can assert your opinion against somebody else's in a situation where you need to stand out. And if you're more introverted in nature, this can come across as you having random outbursts of frustration or passion, where all of a sudden you feel motivated to discuss what's on your mind. If you're an extrovert by nature, this kind of looks like you constantly needing to assert your opinion and constantly challenging other people to do the same. And at times, if it's perceived the wrong way, you can come across as someone who loves to instigate drama and arguments. So there is a spectrum. It really just depends on you and how that resonates with you. But it seems that other people see you as somebody who flips. Like you out of nowhere just, you disrupt the status quo with your passionate outbursts, and it comes across as you fighting to stand out in a competitive environment, fighting to be heard, asserting your opinion, feeling like you need to say what needs to be said, regardless of what other people think, because it's important to you that you get it out. I believe anyone who possesses the Five of Wands energy also has a really strong sense of humor. To me, it means that comedy is usually a way of testing the waters to see how well received your strong opinions will be, or it's a way of remedying the situation after you've ticked people off. So I do think that the people around you see you as someone who uses sense of humor at your own discretion as a tool to get your point across or to help you stand out and to try to relieve some of the tension you may have started in the first place. Now, people that know you well know that there are certain things about you that just won't change. You seem to stand by your morals, but you also seem to be someone who's not afraid to change if it means growing in the right way. I believe people who have known you for years have seen you go through changes and have seen you even change your opinion on things in life based off of experience. So people that haven't known you for very long could think, wow, group 2 comes across as really strongly opinionated, but people that have known you for ages know that it's just a matter of what you're passionate about right now. You could be really passionate about politics, and then next year you're more passionate about the environment. And so your political stance changes completely to line up with your new passion for the environment. People who've known you for years might have seen you say, I never want children. And then they've watched you become a parent and they've seen your stance on that change. Whereas people who have just met you might think, wow, you're such a devoted, parent. I could never imagine you not wanting children. So that's where the changeable aspect of the Five of Wands comes in. The Wands are fiery, passionate energies, but they are quick moving. They don't last more than weeks, months at the most. So, and we did see fire with Jupiter, the wheel and adventure. That's where that fiery energy really came from in the beginning. I don't know if I communicated that, though. I probably just felt it. So that doesn't surprise me too much. In terms of how you see yourself, with the Peacock card reversed, this is an air element card, which means it's influenced by signs, well, the air element, which includes signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. The air elements stimulate your mind, your communication, your logic, your thought process, and the way that you like to receive information as well as share it. So with the Peacock card, this was also a card about standing out, doing or saying something to impress other people. I think with this card reversed, you actually consider yourself quite humble. You consider yourself to not be fussed by the material aspects of this experience we call life. You consider yourself to be somebody who doesn't really care what you wear or how you do your hair or what kind of lifestyle you lead. You probably would assume that vanity is one of the last things that you would, one of the last words you would use to describe yourself. And to be honest, there's an aspect of this that other people do agree with, but the whole theme behind the Five of Wands is competition, trying to stand out, whether it's your communication, your actions, or your agenda. So to most people who don't include yourself and maybe your close loved ones, you actually come across as someone who is competitive in nature and who likes to stand out, who likes to be seen, who likes to be heard. Even if you're an introvert, the people that know you well know that you need attention. And if you don't get attention, you can feel very dramatic with the Five of Wands. So I feel like with the Peacock card reversed, you probably think of yourself the complete opposite to what you're generally perceived as. And I do believe that maybe your values align with the way that you perceive yourself, but your ego and your changeable energy, as well as your desire for certain experiences, seems to make you gravitate towards situations where you're having to compete and you're having to really try to stand out in a competitive environment. Now, I do think with the Peacock reversed, you may be someone who is really misunderstood. You may be someone who's often in environments that don't quite align with your values. Or you may be someone who finds yourself surrounded by people who force you to be this kind of person. Or you're just in denial. You're just in denial. It's either or, really, because these two energies are very conflicting, group two. So which one is it? Are you conscious and self-aware enough to identify if you're in denial? Or do you genuinely feel misunderstood by the people around you, by the experiences you've been through, and by the dynamics, the environments that you find yourself in? The world is quite a competitive place, and there are so many industries, thanks to social media and just housing crises, economic crises, that put us in competition with so many different people. So I can empathize with that. You probably consider yourself more, altruistic than what you're perceived. It does feel like you're at a point in your life where you're trying to stay grounded, but honestly, it's not easy to get you heated and to get you passionate and to get you upset or triggered in some way. Yeah, I don't know if I worded that right. I was supposed to say it is easy. You seem to be someone who's trying to stay grounded with the peacock reversed, but it's actually pretty easy to trigger you. And yeah, your journey is just calling for you to challenge other people and challenge the perception of you. So your nature and what you resemble is quite similar to your sun sign, in that Jupiter's energy is quite dynamic. It's not the most dynamic. I guess you could say Uranus is quite dynamic and free and innovative, but I would say Jupiter can move quickly. It's a mutable or changeable energy of luck, good fortune. And it also encourages experience through taking those leaps of faith and just sort of throwing caution to the wind. It doesn't want you to stay grounded. It wants you to move quickly and to recognize opportunity and to seek opportunity. So I do feel like so far the characteristics are quite similar. And I also think with this wheel, there is a perception of you that comes across as indecisive at times. You may be someone who has a lot of dreams and schemes and plans and goals, but a lot of people who have known you for a long time feel like it takes a lot for you to change. You don't really seem to create the level of success that you're able to envision, that you're able to imagine, and that you're able to dream, which does give me Pisces energy, Scorpio energy, and Taurus energy. Sagittarius too, if Sagittarius accidentally misses their calling, it feels like Sagittarius can also be in that same boat. But again, we're only talking about sun signs. So usually this is your ego, right? This is who you become through your life. You sometimes don't resonate with these characteristics when you're younger. Your sun sign is usually who you develop into through experience and time. So you may resonate more with sun sign qualities after you've been through some stuff. You know, I started to resonate with sun sign qualities pretty much once I left home and had to face the world by myself. But, you know, for some people, it's a lifetime in the making. Who you resemble can be more akin to your rising sign or your moon sign, because it's also how other people see you, their impression of you. I think people's first impressions of you is that you have a warm energy. You're kind of, I want to say easygoing until you're triggered with the 5 of Wands, because there is this feeling of having a specific stance on things, literally with the way that these two people are standing. But I don't think you would present in an argumentative way during a first impression, unless you're a very strong, outgoing personality. I think it would take a deep and meaningful conversation to see that side of you. And I think that people who have known you for a while get to see you trying to ground yourself, you trying to stay true to certain values and trying not to feel like your value as a human being is dependent upon what you look like, how much money you have, and how successful you are. So that's what we're seeing so far. Let's get your last 2 cards out. These cards are going to tell us how all of this information is helpful for your growth. What are some potential challenges and opportunities? This is the Celestial Bodies Oracle deck. Let's have a look. Your first card is 11th house, in the reverse position. And your second card is the Mercury card, also reversed. So if we have a look at these cards, I can straight away see air, more air. And we had air here. So you may have an interesting placement in your chart. Maybe it's your Chiron, your North Node, or I could say moon, but this is about growth. So it could be Saturn or Jupiter, which stimulates growth. An 8th house sign could be an air sign. It seems like the way that you want to be versus the way other people see you and how you naturally align is stimulating you to grow uncomfortably against the grain. There's a part of you that wants to be free, that wants to do what you want to do, that doesn't want to conform. There's a part of you that consciously tries to rebel with the 11th house reversed. You consciously try to do things differently. However, in order for you to grow and to truly achieve a sense of personal success, right? The kind of success that's important to you, that's important to the people that you care about. In order to truly grow, you actually have to do the opposite. You have to learn how to stop trying so hard. Because when you try to rebel, you're counteracting the point. The point of rebelling is not caring. And I feel like your journey is about finding a way to genuinely not care about what other people think of you, to genuinely look after yourself for the sake of yourself. This is a hard lesson for this group because your ego is not something you're actually in tune with. When you think you're defying your ego, you're actually working with it. Almost, is it abating it? Working with it to make yourself think that you're being a better person, an altruistic person, when actually you're disconnected from the true meaning. It's like you're tricking yourself into thinking you're altruistic when you're actually just giving up. You have moments in life where you say, I'm not going to try for that job. I don't believe in competitions. I don't believe in I'm better than anyone else. I don't believe that I should join the rat race and be a part of society in that way. And in doing that, you're denying yourself the true opportunity to grow. You're keeping yourself stuck. You're keeping yourself limited. You're saying that you're doing it because you don't care about what other people think, but you're also doing it because you aren't wanting success for yourself. So it seems like your biggest challenge in your lifetime is trying to not be afraid to leap towards growth, opportunities, and future outcomes that you deserve. Ultimately, having high aspirations is a challenge for you because you convince yourself that that's having tall poppy syndrome, that that's trying too hard, and that that's you conforming to the system, when actually it's the complete opposite. It's you giving up by not doing it at all. So your biggest challenge is to be an individual, to genuinely seek opportunity for self, to have freedom of expression without thinking about how it will look in the eyes of others. That's a big challenge for you. Even when you think you're rebelling, you're still thinking, well, how's this going to look to other people? And I do think that your biggest opportunity is to try not to overthink these things, sweet soul, because the only way you're actually going to grow is by doing some of the things you said you were going to do. With Mercury reversed, you guys often get stuck in the thought process of things, stuck in the talk. You say you're going to do it, you say that would be a good idea. But it's really important that you follow through in order to grow. This information may not be new to you, The solutions may not be new to you, but it's important that if you are going to use any information to benefit your journey, you remove the chip from your shoulder to be able to look at your circumstances almost objectively. If you were anybody else, imagine you were giving advice to yourself. Imagine a friend came to you and they described your situation to you and they said, "What should I do?" What advice would you give that friend? Then apply that advice to your life. In order for you to grow and to embrace the Jupiter characteristics in your personality, you need to look at your situation through the eyes of a friend. Through the eyes of, if that wasn't me, what advice would I give that person? And then take that advice on board. You come across as somebody who's really valuable as a friend. And you will watch many friends succeed in life well before you get that same experience and opportunity. Despite you two having similar starting places, despite you two, crossing paths and maybe even working together in the same industry, it will feel like other people's success eclipses yours. Rather than resign yourself to feeling like the system's rigged and you didn't really care about material things anyway, see it as a challenge to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and to look at your life objectively. I actually think that over time, you're going to be someone who could have incredibly unique experiences and skills if you let life work for you, not to you. It's almost like you're in a house. This is how I'm being shown it. And people are coming to your door knocking, saying, "Hey, group 2, I have this amazing opportunity. All you have to do is apply for it, upload your resume, your cover letter, and then we'll see if you're a perfect candidate. We have to go through the process with you like we do everyone else, and we have to vet your qualifications, your experience, your references before we can offer you an interview or before we can proceed to the next stage. But we think you'd be great for the role." And then you turn around and go, "Why would I want to be a part of that rat race? Why would I want to, my principles are that I don't actually agree with that form of doing things, that system of pitting people against each other. I think it's unethical." And this person's like, "What?" It's equitable that we do this. We're treating you like everybody else. And you're like, "Well, that's the point. I'm not like everybody else." So you've got to be really careful about letting those little triggers get in the way of you truly experiencing the success. These things may feel big at the time, but the opportunities for growth are just stacked on top of each other in terms of missed opportunities because of these little triggers that were just a fleeting passage in time. So those are the opportunities for growth, sweet soul. Those are the challenges that you're likely to experience. That is how this information is helpful for you to grow throughout your journey. I think your biggest thing is being able to look at your life fully with the full scope of where you stand and what stands in front of you, removing that bias, removing that trigger, and being able to fully grasp what is happening in that moment as an opportunity and a challenge, rather than fixating on small things that ultimately pass. When it comes to your personality, people do see you as the attributes of your sun sign that I divinated in the beginning. However, you like to think that you are a bit more different, which is where there is a bit of a chip on your shoulder at times that stands in the way of you viewing your life realistically. You are somebody who actually has a lot of passion to offer in any situation you present in, whether it's a job environment, a relationship, a friendship. You actually have a beautiful spark to you. And there's a part of you that feels hungry for experience, that wants to expand, as we saw with Jupiter. But there's another side to you that bridles that desire by trying to convince yourself that you don't want it, that it's not important, and that if you do fail, that's fine, because you didn't want to be in competition anyway. So that's what I'm seeing in your reading. I'm going to end your YouTube reading here, and we're going to go into your extended reading now. The extended reading is on my website. The link is in the description box and the pinned comment. And as I said at the start of your reading, your extended reading focuses more on how these qualities make you compatible in terms of jobs, friendships, family, animals, pets, romances, lifestyle, and spending habits. How do these qualities impact those areas of your life? What are you most compatible with? And where do you experience challenges? It was actually really insightful doing this reading for group 1. If you were too triggered, I can understand not wanting to extend this session. I hope that my reading, if anything, proved that I'm a very honest reader. And I hope that we were able to get some information that really resonated with you and helped you gain perspective on your experience and the journey that you're on. It's been a pleasure to exchange energy with you, group 2. I appreciate your time, your support, and your precious energy. Look after your beautiful self if this is where we're parting ways. I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Goodbye for now. Hi, my group 3, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize the yellow calcite crystal, then you're in the right place. Sweet souls, we're asking Spirit, do you resemble your star sign? Now, this is technically a tarot and oracle card reading. I'm not an astrologer, so I will be using tarot and oracle cards to have a look at what your star sign, your sun sign is what I should have said, could be. And then we're going to have a look at whether you resemble these characteristics based on the characteristics you're aware of and based on the characteristics other people notice within you. By having a look at those differences or similarities, I'm going to close your reading by asking, how is this information helpful for your growth? What are the potential challenges? What are the opportunities because of these similarities or differences? So there is an extended reading. I have it all here. I might talk about it more at the end, group 3. I'm pretty keen to just get into your YouTube reading. But ultimately, your extended reading looks at your compatibility, and we cover all these different topics of your life in your extended reading. So I'll talk about that more at the end. Let's have a look at whether or not you resemble your star sign. So Spirit, please tune me in to my group 3's energies. Please help me offer group 3 the most clear, honest messages about their reading so that I may give them the clarity, the insight, and ultimately the knowledge that they need. Thank you, Spirit. Group 3s, you're welcome to set your intention as the viewer. Are there specific messages, questions, topics, or themes you'd like addressed? Set your intentions now. And let's have a look at your first cards. So what is your sun sign most likely to be? Starting with the arcana of astrology, we have Eris. Ooh, some Mars energy. We also are going to use the tea leaf cards and the destiny cards. So your destiny card is discretion in the reverse position. Yeah, if you've got a Mars placement, you're probably not discreet. We also have fly, period of ill health and depression. This is from the Tea Leaf Oracle. We have door as well. Opportunities are waiting for you. Interesting. So Mars placements are more than likely to be Scorpio, Let me write this down. Scorpio, Aries are the most dominant signs. Lack of discretion. Who can't hide their face? Capricorn can't hide their face. Geminis. I would argue most air signs can't hide their face. But I'm going to go ahead and put Aquarius down here. I think I mentioned Aquarius in a previous group. But those are the 4 for you that I'm seeing most predominantly. Scorpio, Aries, Capricorn, Aquarius. Mostly because of this Eris energy, lack of discretion. But when we have a look at these 2 themes here, opportunities are waiting for you and a period of ill health or depression. These characteristics, to me, indicate that you're probably someone that really pushes your energy, which is where I was getting like Saturn energy and Mars energy. That's why I wanted to put these 2, because these 2 signs are more closely connected to Saturn. These 2 signs are more closely connected to Mars. You're likely to hit burnout, or you're likely to suffer if your expectations don't match reality. You're likely to beat yourself up if you try really, really hard to do something and it doesn't seem to go your way. Eris is not just a Mars influence. It's not just influenced by Mars. It's its own, asteroid. It's got its own energy. And it makes me think of Saturn because the deck that uses it, or that designed this card, attributes one of the key words as karma. If I quickly open the guidebook, I'll share some of the key terms, as this may resonate as characteristics of your personality. I wouldn't say that those sun signs are going to match all of you, right? This is a collective reading. Scorpio has already come out twice. So I know that there's going to be discrepancies. This is just what came out for your group. So if this doesn't completely match, I still encourage you to listen to the next part. And if the next part doesn't completely match, then you probably have the wrong group, sweet souls, okay? Because often our characteristics don't reflect our sun sign. That's all I'm saying. Unless you have a stellium in your sun sign, or you've got some really strong placements in your sun sign, it's quite rare that your nature reflects your sun sign. But let's just keep going with this. So in the guidebook, Eris is known as the destroyer. It was Eris's jealousy that set off the famous Trojan War. Upset that she was not invited to the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, the goddess went into a hysterical rampage, encouraging men to fight one another, which quickly spiraled into madness. It was an overreaction on her part, but she showed that she lives up to her reputation as a spiteful and petty goddess. Eris presides over karmic retribution, though her judgment is not always sound. When thinking about this goddess, we have to acknowledge the concept of an eye for an eye, or better yet, your 2 eyes for my 1. Her rebellion is clearly not as lighthearted as that of Uranus. Yeah, she's definitely got way more of a fire to her. So the key words in this deck are anger, strife, bitterness, karma, vengeance, and reflection. Eris can point to transgenerational trauma and its effect on our daily lives. We carry the stresses of our ancestors inside of us, and this shapes our responses to certain triggers on a cellular level. So this isn't even conscious. These are unconscious or subconscious reactions to things. These traumas can be on an immediate family level, but also a societal level. Remember that the things you are feeling are valid. So yeah, there's a lot of intensity behind this card, and I think the karmic aspect is what made me think of Saturn. But obviously, if you're thinking of rebels, Uranus, which also brings us back to Aquarius, when it comes to pettiness, it's not very well thought out, this energy, which is why I thought of Mars, that impulse, that urge, that, you know, that quick reaction without really thinking about how it's going to impact and affect. So I think your sun sign is likely to be one of those dominant energies that are kind of quick to react or quick to see. The thing is, Capricorn I wouldn't say is quick to react, but Aries, yes, Scorpio sometimes, Aquarius sometimes. Aries is known for doing that. I think with Capricorn, it's the idea of vengeance and the spitefulness of wanting to avenge self when you've been done wrong. So that's a shadow attribute of Capricorn. Not all Capricorns possess it, but it's a stereotypical shadow attribute of, like, a Capricorn scorned is likely to get revenge through success. And I just see burnout being common in your sign because of your drive, your incessant drive to want to do things. It comes at the cost of your health, your mental health, and your physical health. Despite that, your drive and your ability to do things, your ability to take on a lot of pressure, a lot of karmic pressure, as well as a lot of stress and tension, creates a lot of opportunities for you. This lucrative aspect is what made me think of Aries and Capricorn as cardinal signs. Their leadership qualities tend to mean they can create a lot of opportunities for themselves because they are not afraid to take initiative and really push themselves out of their comfort zone. The only other thing I want to say is your sun sign is likely to be someone who doesn't always appear to be angry. Just because you have Eris here doesn't mean you're known to be angry and vengeful and bitter, and, you know, it means that if you are wronged, if anyone does cross your paths, you handle your business. You don't let people get away with that. And you may have a bit of a chip on your shoulder when it comes to karmic retribution. You may be feeling as though, you know what, if you're going to be a horrible person, you're not going to get away with it. Not on my watch. I'm not waiting for the universe to balance that out. I'm doing that myself. So you could be very passionate about people who are wrongly done. You could have a sort of Batman prerogative at times where, you know, it's citizen justice type thing of taking matter into your own hands and sorting things out yourself rather than relying on authorities or laws or the powers that be to handle punishment and justice. You may feel very upset by the idea that evil people get away with evil things. And I wouldn't go as far as saying you get pleasure from seeing evil people being punished, but I think it makes you smile, you know. I think, you know, this is giving vigilante vibes. You may have witnessed firsthand how the laws don't protect good people, you know. So there's a part of you that probably takes matters into their own hands, whether you do that within a job or whether you do that as a personal passion, whether you do that by bringing awareness to social injustice, or whether you do that by creating personal boundaries that distance yourself from evil people in your environment. Eris usually means that some of this trauma is not your own. As the guidebook said, you guys may have inherited transgressional trauma from your ancestors and what they went through, from your parents and what they went through. It could be intergenerational. It could be that you've awakened with this anger of how other people's actions are subconsciously or unconsciously impacting you. Now, just because you have this awareness doesn't mean you're always angry. I just want to bring it back to that. It just means that you guys have a fire in you. And if you're pushed, you're not afraid to push back, and you're not afraid to do so in a way that teaches people to be better people, to be nicer, and to be more considerate. I want to say with this Eris energy, you're very protective of yourself and of your loved ones, which is why you feel like a Scorpio, Aries, Capricorn, Aquarius. Taurus people have that within them as well. They don't always, well, actually, no, Taurus people and Libra people can be quite petty because of their Venus placements. But they tend to do that in less of an Eris way. Eris, isn't afraid to fight to the death pretty much, or to pit evil people against themselves, to show others their true nature. That's the level that Eris would go to, whereas Venus would humiliate someone publicly by, doing something petty to bring unwanted attention to that person. Eris would do this in the shadows by really just playing puppeteer behind the scenes. There wouldn't be any clear evidence of Eris being involved in the downfall of these people. But at the end of the day, it would look like those two people destroyed each other, type of thing. So those are the characteristics of your sun sign. This is a complicated energy, sweet souls. It's a lot, and I think you're going to be an interesting reading. If that doesn't resonate, bear with me. Let's keep going. And if this next part doesn't resonate, then you're definitely in the wrong place, all right? There's a scale to this level of vengeance. It's not full-blown vengeance for a lot of you, but there is the ability to really get your hands dirty discreetly. No, not really discreetly, but anyway, before I contradict myself, let's keep going. All right, so what do you resemble? Let's have a look at your nature now. For this, we're going to pull cards from the Lucid Minds tarot deck, which is a tarot deck, as I said. You have the sun sign. So this is more how you resemble yourself in your mind. This is how you see yourself, and this is sometimes how other people see you. But let's have a look at how others perceive you and your nature based on the Animal Oracle deck by Kim Krans. We have Tiger. Interesting. You may resonate as the tiger being your spirit animal. I would really be shocked if you guys feel like a fly is your spiritual animal, unless it is an insect of some sort. But the tiger is standing out. When it comes to your true nature, this is very different to what your sun sign, well, actually it's not that different, but there are layers we can see now. While your sun sign has this intensity and this certain reputation that can almost be intimidating, really, your sun sign has this reputation of don't cross me because I will get my revenge. Your nature is a little bit more sunny and sweet. For the sun to come out here, you would characterize yourself as someone who strives to be optimistic, as someone who is really focused on their mental health, their well-being, their peace. Because even if you can't always be a positive, happy person, you know the importance of having a balanced well-being. The sun, for me personally, doesn't show up unless you have experienced mood disorders. I personally read it like that. I know other people would disagree. I think traditionally this card is supposed to resemble so much happiness that there's no way that depression could be a part of it. But I'm not surprised that it came out with the fly card. The sun card to me means that one of the main reasons why your mental health is so important is because you know what it's like to be low. You know what it's like to struggle with positivity and optimism and even just positive thoughts. And so you've conditioned yourself to consciously choose positivity and to consciously choose your peace. Especially in this deck, I love how this person is sitting cross-legged on the sand and with their hands in front of them like this, and their posture is relaxed but quite posed in that it's upright. They're not necessarily slouching from what we can tell. There's a huge sunflower on the top of the torso covering the head, so we can't see the posture fully, but we can kind of gather that this person is relaxed, but they're confident. Their shoulders are back, right? Their hands are relaxed in their lap, and that they look very grounded sitting in the sand, cross-legged. It's a very neutral pose. If you do study yoga or any other form of movement and energy when it comes to different ways to access energy based on how you position your body, which makes me think of Reiki or the mudras with your hands. So I do think that you would see yourself as someone who focuses on being relaxed, who prioritizes time for self, and who takes pride in the person that you can be at your best. That doesn't mean you're always at your best. It just means that you're proud of the person that you have created in this life. And I really think there is a fondness towards the childhood version of yourself. I think that your nature is to be at peace with your inner child, and you're more than likely to naturally gravitate towards your younger self in terms of the way that your younger self viewed the world, the passions that your younger self had, the attachments that your younger self had. There's a part of your soul that's quite nostalgic and reminiscent of a more innocent, sweeter version of yourself. And so it's almost as though your nature is to try to model that younger version of yourself in a more experienced or older version of you. You try to continue to model that younger version. So I do want to say, this is more of the person that you seem to consciously strive to be, which is interesting because we're trying to talk about your nature, which in my opinion is more of a subconscious aspect of who you are. But the Sun card is your consciousness, it's your ego. So it is in your nature to actually do a lot of reflection from an ego point of view. It's in your nature to check your ego and to have moments where you have to consciously intervene, which kind of makes me think that parts of this isn't inaccurate. Like I think you guys have had moments where you've created a hellstorm with hellfire raining down from the skies, you know. I think you've got this within you, and you do everything you can to stay like this because you attribute this as a shadow. It's not your best. It's who you have to be if you're pushed, but it's not you in thriving mode. You don't want to be this person, but you will if you have to. It makes me think that there's a lot of self-acceptance and self-awareness, but there is a lot of conscious intervention. You guys really try to intervene before you react if something triggers you and if something disrupts your peace. I really think with the Sun card being here, sweet souls, the characteristics you believe you have is that you have this under control. For the most part, you believe you're just focusing on your peace, focusing on yourself, staying in your own lane, doing what makes you happy, staying rooted in the passions that you've been creating and experiencing for many, many years. You see yourself as someone who surrounds themselves with close loved ones, with like-minded souls, like-minded spirits. You see yourself as someone who other people may look up to, and therefore it's really important to you that you maintain a positive reputation and that your public image is clean. You don't want people to see you in a negative light only because you recognize that you mean something to people. You symbolize something to people. There's this awareness of the fact that your actions have repercussions, and what you do changes the way your loved ones, as well as your community of people around you, see you. So that's why I believe you consciously choose this instead of this. And it's helped you get further, I think. It's helped you channel this energy appropriately, discreetly, or as discreetly as you can. And it's also improved your health, your mental health, your physical health. It's helped you create more opportunities for self, which is what other people are seeing with the tiger here. For the tiger to show up for you, it makes me think that other people see your nature as, honestly, you have predatory instincts. Like, you have more to you than what you show. You show someone who's a little patient, a little mysterious on first impressions. There's more going on with you. But as people get to know you within that first meeting, they observe someone who's very passionate, someone who has a fire, a motivation. And if anyone has the pleasure of talking to you about something that you're passionate about, they truly see those predatory instincts. The people who know you well know that you have this drive. You have this ability to pursue what you want and to be successful in what you want. And you have a way of doing it that leaves little competition. It's honestly intimidating being up against you. It's much safer to root for you from the sidelines rather than go against you or compete with you. People that know you well know that you have a protective instinct with this tiger. They know that you are somebody who nurtures in a very, I would say, protective way. Like, how do I describe this? It reminds me of, like, I'm just seeing imagery of tigresses, like the female version of tigers, stalking other predators to protect their young, to protect their vulnerable. And I don't know if it is tigers. I think it's the lions where the females do most of the hunting. But I know that tigresses use their nature, which is, the way that they were created in the body of a predator, to protect their young against poachers, against other humans who may not even be there to poach but just naturally cause harm, against other predators, against environmental issues. Like, unfortunately, when you look at the world, there's just so much out there, and it's making me panic a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if, your close loved ones see you in this way as well. It's this feeling of, like, when you're attached, like you're fully involved. That's where we see Eris come into play. This drive, this devotion, this almost unrelenting. Look at these eyes, like I just can't. It's so intense. So those are people that know you well. And even the imagery on this card, like the colors are very similar to that and very similar to this, that we're seeing these similar sort of mustardy themes with brown hues. Solar plexus chakra, but a little distorted. So I would say that people see you as someone who the intention is there, but the delivery is sometimes off. Like when you guys want something, you don't stop, and it's at the expense of other people sometimes. So it really depends. I think I'm reading into some of your enemies, or people who could be jealous of you, or people who feel like they didn't win because you did. Like, I think that there are people who are indirectly scorned by this characteristic, and that's what's coming through, is that because you can do this, you indirectly impact other people. It reminds me of like vigilantes like Batman, who, you know, go after the villain, and in the process they cause millions of dollars worth of damage. They inadvertently put other people in harm's way. You know, it's like the intention was good. We just tried to stop the penguin from blowing up the city for the 50 millionth time. But in the process, we created a lot of collateral damage. So I think that some people see your nature as that. Like, obviously, the intention is good, but there is collateral damage at times. Now, I do think that overall, we can see how some of this sort of follows into, but I'm also seeing how close your inner circle really is. You guys are very protective of your peace, to the point where most of the characteristics that I'm getting of you are from people who don't feel very close to you. There are people who have been impacted by your actions, but they haven't had the benefit of talking with you about what's happened afterwards. So you guys may not open up to a lot of people, or you just may not have a lot of people. You may not have these conversations with a lot of people, because I'm almost feeling like a lot of conclusions are drawn, you know, a lot of assumptions are made about your nature based on your actions. So other people's opinions of you aren't an accurate depiction of you. It's just an interesting insight into how they see you, because they're only observing your actions. They're not understanding your process. So that's what's coming through with these cards. I kind of want to have a look at how all of this information is helpful for your growth. We're going to keep it moving. Let's have a look at your Celestial Bodies card. We have the Descendant. Interesting. Now, I kind of want to do this. Do I? Is that the best way to do this? Maybe we can push that up there. We know that that's a fly. We know that that's a door. We can put that over there, and voila, heaps of space. Love it. Okay, discretion is still in frame. Yeah, perfect. So, Descendant, I love this. This information found you to help you fully understand the version of you that you were. When this reading found you, it's most likely at a time where you've put a lot of this behind you. The point of coming to this reading today, and the point of me highlighting these qualities versus these characteristics, and the similarities and differences in your nature versus your character, is that ultimately, you aren't the version of you that you used to be. It's really important that I say that. It's really important that I acknowledge how far you've come, group 3. You aren't who you used to be. There's a reason why you gravitated towards this yellow calcite. This is who you are becoming, and this is who you are consciously trying to be. It's very similar to the sun's energy. I encourage you to look up the characteristics of yellow calcite. I wrote down some key words. Positive energy. Often, people who believe in the power of crystals and crystal healing store yellow calcite to infuse positive energy into a space, an environment, or energy work. It is a feeling of transmutation. And I do believe that although you have these qualities, you are consciously a very different person to how others perceive you. And it's probably really important that you continue to monitor your growth, that you continue to be aware of who you were. Don't feel shame. Don't discount or discredit your previous versions. That was you operating on an unconscious level, right? And I truly believe that some of you were victims of your environment or your transgressional trauma. I truly believe that because of your conscious work, you're a very different person today, and you're destined to be a very different person in the future. Past you wasn't a bad person, but unfortunately your actions had bad repercussions that seemed to have negatively impacted other people. And I think your awareness of this is what is making you a better person today. Again, you weren't a bad person before, but you're a better person today because of your awareness of how your actions affect other people. So I do think that this information is helpful for your growth because it's challenging you to see the past version of yourself differently. It is challenging you to have a healthier relationship with self, one free from shame or guilt, one that thinks before they react, so that they do not regret anything. And it's challenging you to become a better person because it's also encouraging you to be more conscious, less subconscious. It's encouraging you to be more aware. So these are positive ways of challenging your character that align with your nature. And I want to be very clear, there is no shame in having certain qualities in your nature. In previous lifetimes, you would have channeled this energy very effectively in certain settings. Can you imagine how Eris would have been helpful as a voice for the vulnerable and for the weak and for those who could not fight for themselves? In a situation in which certain minorities are consistently taken advantage of, Eris shines as a beacon of unrelenting vengeance. We've seen that happen historically in other timelines. So this energy, whether it's ancestral, past life, or intergenerational, your opportunity is to channel it into a sense of purpose for your future. I do think most of you are still in this stage where you're choosing peace and self, and where you have a lot of time alone to ground yourself so that you're not reacting impulsively and getting too carried away with your primary feelings, because those feelings are usually anger or a feeling of being triggered. And let's be honest, we live in a dark time in this world. Like, in terms of information, we live in a time where with one glance at a device, we're given access to a world of information we're able to see how vulnerable people are being taken advantage of every day in different societies and in our own community, our own society. There is so much heavy energy to transmute. So I firmly believe that your challenge as well as your opportunity is to continue to be this way, to find the ability to ground yourself amongst all of that chaos and to not get too triggered because it's in your nature a little bit. To find a way to be more proud of your character and the way you react rather than getting carried away with all the bad things that are happening in the world, because there are a lot of bad things happening in the world. I honestly, that's why I'm saying there's no shame or guilt in it. There's no judgment as your reader. But with the descendant being here, it's important that you don't linger in that energy because it will not get you far. The descendant is an opportunity to reflect for growth. But if we linger for too long, we miss the opportunities in our present. We miss the opportunities to grow. So I believe you're in the best energy you can be in. I believe that you will have the opportunity in your lifetime to channel your vigilante expertise and nature. And we can look into that more in your extended reading. That's actually a perfect way of tying in to your extended reading. I got so excited I messed up the words. But we're going to have a look at who or what you are most compatible with based on your nature, right? Based on these qualities that you possess subconsciously. Now, we know you are consciously intervening, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to be very different to the other two groups, but I will be looking into your compatibility for jobs, friendships, family, animals, romance, lifestyle, and spending habits. We also look at finances in general. What is your compatibility with money based on your nature? So if that sounds interesting, if that information is going to be beneficial and helpful or even just entertaining, you're more than welcome to join me in the extended readings. The link to your extended readings are in the description box and the pinned comment. That page does host all my extended readings, so please take your time to find the right reading. You remember your group 3 of the Do You Resemble Your Star Sign reading that I posted in February 2025. Thank you for your time, your energy, and for the privilege of letting me read for you, Group 3. I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Look after your beautiful selves. And I just can't thank you enough. You're a very insightful energy to read for. I definitely learned a lot as your reader, and I hope you were able to get a lot of confirmation and maybe some additional clarity on your experiences in life based on this nature versus nurture reading, really. Look after your beautiful selves, sweet souls, until our paths cross again. Bye. Hi Group 4 and welcome to your reading. If you recognize this beautiful Chrysocolla crystal, then you're in the right place. We're asking Spirit, do you resemble your star sign? And when I talk about star signs, sweet souls, I'm referring to your sun sign in astrology. I hope I gave a full introduction explaining where I stand with everything, but just in case, I am a tarot reader. I'm an astrology enthusiast, but I'm not an astrologer. I highly recommend you check your natal chart after this reading and see how this tarot reading has maybe correlated to your natal chart and themes in your natal chart. But yeah, we're just doing a tarot and oracle reading, having a look at what your sun sign is based on the oracle cards, and then we're going to have a look at what you resemble based on the characteristics that you're aware of and the characteristics noticed by others as well. And to tie the reading together, in the end, we're going to have a look at how all of this information is helpful for your growth. What are the challenges and opportunities from knowing this about yourself. So with that spiel out of the way, let's put your Chrysocolla up here and we're going to start laying out some oracle cards. I'm just going to set my intentions with Spirit and my spiritual team as your reader. I highly recommend you set your intentions as the viewer. Are there specific questions, messages, topics, or information that you're seeking in terms of clarity? Set your intentions, and I'm going to set mine. Spirit, please tune me into my group 4's energies. Please help me offer the most clear, honest messages for group 4 in their reading today. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, now first things first, with this Chrysocolla crystal, I wrote down keywords calm communication / teaching stone. Now this Chrysocolla is pretty common here in Australia due to all of our iron and copper that we have in the soil. So these crystals are like a byproduct of that. And I do believe that the themes or the properties associated with this crystal's healing energy are relevant to your characteristics, to your nature. We're going to come back to that as we start learning more about what qualities you resemble and whether you resemble your star sign. So let's have a look at what your star sign's characteristics are in terms of your sun sign. From the Arcana of Astrology deck, we have Waxing Gibbous Moon coming out. From the Destiny Oracle deck, we have Honesty. Interesting. From the Tea Leaf Oracle deck, we have Club. Someone will try to make you do something against your will. Interesting. So straight off the cuff, Honesty makes me think of air signs. Yeah, I have to put Gemini. Do I? I have to. We've already had Gemini, but I'm going to put her again. Is there anyone we haven't had that may actually fit into this reading? Virgo. Yeah, Gemini and Virgo. Especially with Mercury Honesty. Club. Someone will try to make you do something against your will. Makes me think of energies that are easily influenced by peer pressure, like Pisces, Sagittarius. But I don't want to use Sagittarius again. Is there another sign? Spirit, Waxing Gibbous Moon, and Honesty. It means you speak before you think. Who speaks before they think? Libra. It's a contradictory that, because Libra can also be very calculated. So I'm not saying that that's the only characteristics of that sign, but it's a strong characteristic of that sign. Waxing Gibbous Moon, the energy is gaining momentum. Information is revealing itself. Emotions are running high. I can't lie, would be Sagittarius. Yeah, I've got to put Sagittarius down as well. You're the only group that has 5... My bad. Did I spell Sagittarius wrong? I did. I'm so sorry, Sag. Oh my gosh. You're the only group that has 5 signs, but I just can't let that Sagittarius energy go. Sagittariuses are known for being a bit too honest about what they're thinking and usually say things without thinking as well. More than a Libra is known for that. Libras are usually seen as being more calculated. So this is the most predominant sun signs that are showing up for your group in Vedic or tropical astrology. The qualities and characteristics, I've been rattling them off. Your sun sign is stereotypically known as somebody who speaks before they really think. You have a hard time lying. You're considered a very honest sign. You're also considered to be a sign that likes to speak of what's on their mind. You're a sign that seeks clarity and truth. You're also a sign that tends to feel quite strongly about things, even if just for a fleeting moment in time. You tend to form strong emotions or opinions about things. And I want to say with waxing gibbous moon here, you're also a sign that seems to like to know how things work. Like you take the time to observe something as it's developing. You're not too obsessed with the start or end. You're more interested in understanding how rather than when or what. You want to understand how it happened. With the club energy here, you're susceptible towards peer pressure, and you guys may even be considered people pleasers at times, or people who, seem to be more conscious of what other people expect of you or want of you. I'm also hearing the words pushover. Could be a stereotype. Is there anything else they need to know, Spirit, before we have a look at their characteristics in the eyes of others and themselves? We might move forward, sweet souls. I think that's it. So bear with me. If that didn't fully resonate, bear with me, as the next section is really going to confirm whether this group is meant for you. If this next portion of your reading doesn't resonate, then you've selected the wrong group, or this may not be a reading that was intended for you. So let's have a look at how your nature is perceived through the eyes of others and yourself. Starting with themselves, Spirit, what characteristics are they aware of? We have the Four of Pentacles from the Lucid Minds Tarot deck. And from the eyes of others, we have Camel, which is the Animal Archetypes deck by Kim Kranz. So, very different, not in a bad way. It's similar though. The camel hoards water, and in this deck, that's emotion. The Four of Pentacles is a card of hoarding resources. So you're aware that you're someone that can come across as being stubborn at times. You're aware that the characteristics that you have often make you hard to get along with certain personalities. You can appear set in your ways or quite complacent and at times demanding. It's giving diva energy, which would definitely align with Libra energy. Libras can be divas. No tea, no shade. I'm just talking about stereotypes. Every star sign has their shadow attributes. But with the Four of Pentacles being here, it does make me think that you're aware of the fact that it's not always easy for people to work with you or to get along with you. You're quite set in your ways. You come across as being somebody who is used to a certain way of living. You're used to doing things a certain way, and you get quite comfortable. You're not easy to share with. You could be quite possessive about the things that you own or the attachments you have, as well as the people that you love. The characteristics that you're aware of is that you do attribute this to being self-invested and acutely loyal. You're loyal to a point. You're committed to a point. The Four of Pentacles is actually a card that talks about hoarding because we're afraid of losing. So in your case, you're aware of the fact that you do have a fear of loss. you do have a fear of losing what you already have or what you've worked so hard to achieve. And you may hold on to certain expectations because of this. And these expectations could come across as unrealistic in the eyes of others, but you have a strict sort of principle or understanding about why this is the case. And for the Four of Pentacles to be here in your position of conscious knowledge means that you know that your nature is only stubborn for a reason. You're not unnecessarily difficult to deal with, but you don't compromise your principles. The Four of Pentacles means you're very rooted in principles of self. This does make me think that you're afraid of being perceived differently. It makes me think that you guys get uncomfortable in situations where you can't present in a specific way. You may have a hard time being vulnerable. You may have a hard time letting certain people get close to you. You may have a hard time letting people see what's underneath sometimes. And you may also get very protective over what is yours and what is known to be, yours. So when it comes to material possessions, you guys do have a side of you that is accustomed to a certain lifestyle for the Four of Pentacles to show up. Sorry, I've been fiddling with my watch. I don't know if that was clicking in the microphone. I'm going to switch to crystals now. You're known, you expect a specific way of living, a specific lifestyle. You may have bougie tendencies, but that's only because you've worked so hard to be where you are today, which tells me that you don't have to be surrounded by gold to be happy, but you have your basic needs that need to be met, right? Like one of your niche needs could be, if I'm going to live somewhere, like I have to have a hair straightener. And to other people, it could seem really silly and specific and trivial. But to you, like there's a reason. There's a sentimental or principle-based reason as to why that's one of your expectations. So that's just an example. It could be that in your lifestyle, you need to have a coffee from Starbucks or Donut King or wherever it is that you go to get coffee. And to other people, it may be like, well, why do you waste money doing that? You could just buy or make coffee at home or buy it from this place for much cheaper. It's basically the same. But to you, there's a principle, there's a reason. And it's oddly specific. You don't feel the need to explain yourself to other people. It's based on your own expectations around how your life should be led. And those are the weird little ways that you seem to be stuck in your ways and immovable when it comes to compromising. So you're aware of these things that seem to make it difficult for other people to kind of work with you sometimes. In the eyes of others, you're seen as the Camel, which is a water card. So the Camel in this deck is the hoarder of emotions. This is someone who doesn't reveal how they truly feel, and someone who potentially holds the secrets of others as well. So I kind of feel like in the eyes of others, you're somebody who knows a lot about a lot of people, who is very careful about what you say, although I am hearing gossip mongering. So people may come to you with a lot of their truths, and it could be known about you that you're somebody who people turn to. I do think with the Camel being here, you guys do come across as quite poised and a bit mysterious. The way that you carry yourself is really coming through as an obvious characteristic. So it does make me think of the way that Libras sit. They don't always have good posture, but when they're in a public space, they do. I don't know if this is just me, and I don't know why I'm only focusing on Libra. But I feel like when Libras are around other people, like their posture is impeccable. It is crazy. It's a phenomenon I've personally noticed. There are obviously exceptions, but if your sun sign is Libra, this is something that people notice about you. If I interpret this into the other energies, strangers observe you as someone that holds information that you're not always willing to share. You have secrets behind your eyes, is what I'm hearing. And this is typical of Gemini and Virgo placements, as well as Pisces at times. They can appear to know more or feel more than what they're communicating. And this is especially towards people that are prying, that are trying to come to you to either get to know you better or to gossip about other people. In terms of Sagittarius, you always come across as someone who's a little distracted by other things, preoccupied, as though you've got other things on your mind. I do think that this is an interpretation from strangers who don't know you. They assume that there is a lot of depth to you before getting the chance to truly know you. And I'm not saying that knowing you contradicts this. I just think it's quite obvious that the stereotypes of Sagittarius is that they're very honest people. So if you do have a lot on your mind, it wouldn't take long for it to come out. I also think that when it comes to people who know you fairly well, this camel energy is interpreted as being able to store other people's emotions. So I feel like your loved ones do come to you with a lot of their problems, feelings, thoughts. I think that they enjoy communicating with you, group 4, about their feelings, processing their feelings. You guys seem to take on a lot when it comes to your loved ones, and you seem to be capable of carrying a lot of emotion. Does that make it okay? Not necessarily, but this is what strangers observe about you, and this is how loved ones observe your nature to be. You seem to be able to take on a lot of emotion. I do think you have loved ones in your life who feel like you don't share everything you feel. When it comes to other people, you could be very quick to listen, to observe, to advise, right? To support. But when it's your turn to share, I feel like your loved ones assume that you hold back. You're not sharing everything. And that's where there seems to be certain nuances to your loyalty. You guys could be very protective over romantic interests. You could be very protective over your own shadows, your own behaviors. And you could be very conscious about how other people are going to view you, which is where you may withhold certain details about your life. So that's what's coming through with the camel and the 4 of Pentacles. If that sounds like you and the way that people observe you through the conversations you've had with them over time, let's have a look now at how this information is going to be helpful for your journey and for your growth. We're going to tie these 2 interpretations of you in terms of stereotypes, assumptions, nature-based characteristics into your growth. How are all of these similarities, differences going to impact your growth in this lifetime? What are some key challenges and what are some key opportunities? Before I uncover your last oracle card, I just want to highlight that I do believe you're a bit misunderstood, sweet souls. I can see how the people observing your actions misinterpret your nature. I think that your loved ones believe that you're a very caring person, or you can be very caring, but I also think that they don't know how to love you. I think you have people in your life who want to love you the way that they love without appreciating how your love language is different. And so I can see how you could have some clashes with certain loved ones, including family members or siblings, because they want to love you on their terms. And that's very different to what your needs are. When it comes to strangers, I feel like you're misunderstood because people may underestimate you and your abilities. They may be very quick to go off of a first impression of you. And I can see how in certain situations you're actually presenting as a wallflower, as someone who doesn't stand out as much as the outspoken people. For that reason, I believe competitive industries are really difficult for you. I believe you feel as though people aren't patient enough to listen to what you have to say and to observe your intelligence for what it is. I think it's very hard for you in group settings. I think you prefer intimate settings or settings with people who've known you for a long time. And if you're alone, you'd almost expect zero interactions from people around you. And if people do interact with you, I feel like you leave kind of wondering if they even got you or if they even really connected with you. There's a part of you that feels really misunderstood. So let's have a look now at your last oracle card. This is from the Celestial Bodies Oracle deck. We have full moon in the reverse position. Interesting. All right, full moon. What can I tell you about this card? First of all, in terms of how you're perceived and your nature, as well as the characteristics of your personality, with the full moon card reversed, your growth in this lifetime is about being able to express how you really feel. That is like your karmic purpose in this lifetime. I apologize for that sun coming through. It's very aesthetic, but I can appreciate how it is creating some light distortion in the camera. So if it's too bad, if you can't see anything, I am going to lower the blinds, but I do like how the light dances on the crystals. So we're going to leave it for now and I'll see how I go. The sun is setting. It's going to move in the next 5 minutes. So it may not be an issue for much longer. But I do believe that your soul's karmic purpose in this lifetime is to find a way to freely express your emotions. Every experience you go through in life that challenges you encourages you to react more and to process more. There's going to be moments where you react and you feel really good about expressing that emotion in the moment. But then afterwards, you're going to regret not processing it a little bit longer so that you could accurately communicate how you were feeling. And so as your journey progresses, you're meant to be able to find that perfect balance between patience and reactivity so that you're honoring how you feel, validating your feelings, but effectively communicating them with whoever needs to hear how you're feeling. I sense most of your regret in this life is about how you've inaccurately expressed your emotions, your opinions, and your point of view. I can see with the full moon card reversed the similarities between your sun sign's characteristics and the way you perceive yourself and the way that others perceive you, is that ultimately you try to be an honest person and you can carry a lot of emotion, but you do have a foundation of needs that protect you. And if those needs aren't consistent, you're too vulnerable to even process how you're feeling. And that's where we see you reacting out of defense rather than communicating with thought and clarity. I do think the differences between your sun signs characteristics according to this reading versus the way that you see yourself and the way that others see you is that you're actually somebody who has a more changeable energy than you give yourself credit for. You seem to see yourself as someone who thrives on routine and structure, when actually experience will show you that you thrive off of change. Structure gives you a false sense of security. It gives you a false sense of certainty because it keeps you stagnant. It keeps you in the same cycle. But your changes that you go through are the things that initiate growth. And the only way those changes come about is when you're being honest with yourself and others about what you feel and how you feel. I think that you're very good at taking on a lot. Like, it reminds me of people who keep their mouth shut just to protect themselves, you know, as an extremity, or who condition themselves to believe that certain needs aren't essential in order to keep the peace in a volatile situation. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Your nature actually means that you need to be surrounded by people who are patient enough to listen and to wait for you to process how you feel so that you can speak from a calm, collected place. Your nature means that you need to be in environments that encourage this freedom of expression, opinion, and feelings. And throughout this lifetime, you're learning how to surround yourself with these kinds of people, with these kinds of places, and in these kinds of environments in terms of career, lifestyle. I think that milestones in your life, like becoming a parent or being responsible for other people, even in a professional setting, are really going to draw out these qualities and challenge these qualities within you. There is a part of you that's really good at addressing other people's needs before your own. But to be a great leader, you have to know how to address your own needs as well. Otherwise, you're not leading by example. And ultimately, people notice these discrepancies, whether you're a parent or a professional leader. People notice these discrepancies. So your challenges are to be honest about how you feel and to address your emotional needs. Your opportunities in this lifetime are to challenge yourself, to push yourself out of a false sense of security in terms of material attachment and routine, to be able to challenge your attachment style. It seems that these attachments could have formed during childhood as a form of protection and creating safety for self. That's when you may have noticed that you would fixate on things, is when you were going through turbulence at a young age. That's usually when attachment style is formed. I'm not a psychologist. I just did a lot of healing on myself and my family. And that's something that we noticed. A lot of our attachment styles go way back to when we were younger than 7 and what we went through in those formative years. That conditions you towards developing your attachment style. And this insecure attachment style that's afraid of losing creates false senses of security through routine, through environment, and through, I want to argue with the Four of Pentacles, certain material expectations, money spending habits. This looks like, in terms of routine, maybe every morning you have to wake up, you have to have your coffee outside, and then you come in and you have a conversation with the people in your household, but you need your 5 minutes of peace before you even look at another person. That could be an attachment style that gives a false sense of security through routine. Another one could be, what did I say? I said routine, I said environment. This looks like compulsive behaviors that attempt to control your environment to create a sense of security. This could look like when someone comes over and they move an object in your home. It makes you feel very uncomfortable. It makes you feel out of sorts, as though chaos and disorder is in your home. It could also mean that not only does everything have a place, but it's really uncomfortable for people to come into your environment and suggest changes or make changes or bring in new things without talking to you first, even if it's out of goodwill. If somebody brings you a brand new toaster, you might find it really uncomfortable that they've done this to you in your environment. It could feel very disrespectful, but to other people, they're going, what? But it's a gift. Like, I didn't mean to offend you. In terms of, what else did I say? I said routine, environment, and then it was monetary things. A false sense of attachment could be by attempting to create security with money through your spending habits. Like I said, trying to control safety or security by spending your money on the same things at the same time, the same day. I think I used the example of buying coffee from a specific place every day or once a week, spending money on a specific hobby or interest in a specific way. And this is usually done in a very controlled way. It's not just, I have an extra $50, let me spend more money on my hobby. It's done in a very controlled way. It's either the exact same thing every time, or it's done at the exact same time every time. So that's what's coming through as an opportunity in this lifetime, is for you to battle that false sense of security, to allow your soul and your human experience the chance to grow in this lifetime. It's like your experiences want you to play it safe, but your challenge is to try to grow, because you're a natural being. You're not an avatar in a game. And the very nature of nature is to grow, is to have a life cycle. So very interesting in my opinion, but that's just me reading into you. Is there anything else that they need to know, Spirit, about what their sun sign resembles versus their characteristics, and how this relates to their growth, their life lessons, their challenges and their opportunities? Group 4, please, Spirit. Yeah, I'm so keen to talk about your, so let's actually bring that up, because your stone is going to tell us a lot more about your compatibility, which is in your extended reading. But here's the hint. Remember, the key phrases I'd written down for your group were calm communication and teaching stone. And I think you're a classic case of you don't always practice what you preach, but you're a hell of a good preacher. Can I even say the word hell in the same phrase as preach? That sounds so bad. You're a heck of a good preacher. So in your extended reading, group 4, we're going to have a look at your compatibilities. Your compatibilities in terms of who and what you are most compatible with. I'll be looking at your finances, your jobs, your friendships, family, animals, romance, lifestyle, and spending habits. This is going to help us understand how you can nurture yourself better, because ultimately your nature is who you are subconsciously, without consciously intervening. That's who you are at your core, in the fiber of your being, in the soul of your human existence. So what/who is your nature most compatible with in terms of these topics? We're going to cover that in your extended reading. So if you would like to join me in your extended reading, which is another wonderful way to support this channel and what I do, the link is in the description box and the pinned comment. That link does take you to a page on my website where I host all my extended readings, so please click on the right group before you purchase it. Double check you have the right group. Remember your group 4 of the Do You Resemble Your Star Sign reading. Thank you, sweet souls, for your time, your energy, and all of your support. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of your journey and to read for you today. I hope this reading was helpful, informative, and if not entertaining at the very least. As we part ways, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Goodbye for now.